Hi, welcome to Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell. So I accidentally drank some weird well water from a desolate temple, so to prevent me and Steph from merging, I have her over in the corner right there. Say hi, Steph.
Hi, everybody.
Anyway, so the original plan this week, it was to review the new Naked Gun film that just came out. And I did put out a YouTube short that covered my out-of-theater reactions. I've since, become a bit more positive on the new film. I feel like I said everything I really needed to say about it. There's only so many ways that you could say, oh, this film is really funny. So instead, I'm gonna be reviewing the new horror film starring Dave Franco and Alison Brie. It's a body horror film, so you know you're in for something weird. This is Together. So truthfully, this film, it wasn't on my radar. I didn't really hear anything about this thing until I saw a couple of trailers a few months ago, and then when I saw it, I was like, ooh, that looks freaky. I'm in. And the only thing that I've vaguely heard about on a massive pop culture scale with this film is that Dave Franco and Alison Brie, they allegedly big fat liar this movie. And you can't really discuss this film without bringing up this whole crazy incident. So Franco and Brie, they allegedly plagiarized the plot and various plot points from this indie film called Better Half that was not really picked up for distribution. Now, I haven't seen 2023's Better Half, but I definitely can understand how this controversy blew up. Because, if it's true, then it's fucking crazy. So in Better Half, from what I've read online, a man and a woman, they fuse after having sex, and it's mostly played for comedy. It's a quirky, we're stuck together, But in this film, they're in the process of being fused together, and it's mostly played for horror. Allegedly, this script, it was offered to Franco and Brie to star in the film, but they turned it down because they really wanted producer credits on this thing. And so if the lawsuit is true, then the couple, they went over to Neon, they made this film as fast as they could, and they released it, while Better Half struggled to find distribution. And so after diving into this and knowing this information, I can understand how it's incredibly icky to review this film. And I do completely get that, because after finding out this information that might have possibly happened, I did want to go and watch Better Half for myself, kind of compare and contrast, sort of dive deeper into how much was taken, or if it was valid, this lawsuit. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find it online. I really looked all over. I even looked on YouTube to see if I could find the full film that maybe someone just put up there. I really couldn't find anything. If this film is available somewhere legally for me to watch, comment below, let me know. Because I think that if this film, it does become more commercially and widely available, I might consider coming back and checking it out and maybe doing a proper deep dive that this film deserves. And so until then, all we really have out of this whole thing is the new film from Dave Franco and Alison Brie. And for this review, I am just going to review it as the film that was released. I'm not going to include much of the baggage that was included with this thing pre-release, and I'm just going to review this as a film. So until then, let's just dive right in. Before we go any further with this review, please drop a like, share this video, and hopefully you'll subscribe by the very end of this thing. Any help that you could give this channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're already subscribed to me, thank you so very much. So if you look at a body horror type film like this, the key thing that needs to work, besides the actual body horror, of course, is that the two people who are getting forcefully merged together, they gotta have good chemistry. They gotta work for this film. If they don't work, then this whole premise, it just falls apart. It's done. And thankfully for this film, I think that Franco and Brie, they're both pretty great in this film. And I think that their chemistry, it is amongst the strongest. And their characters and where they are, there is a bit of personal turmoil. I think that they had pretty good chemistry and they played off each other pretty well, which that's not always a guaranteed when you get real life couples to play off each other in a movie. But they work. And this film, what I like about it too, is just this film is a slow burn in between the actual body horror moments. Whenever you see just another little slice of their relationship issues and how they're dealing with this relationship, you're engaged enough to not want to beg to see the firework factory. You're not being like, oh, when's the gore coming? Like, it's pretty effective and you get invested pretty quick. Like, whenever you do get to some of the weird shit that this film like promised you in like the marketing, it is insane. There were several moments where you watch this thing and it's like, for me, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was sitting next to a guy, we had like sort of like the solace of like, no. It was really weirdly bonding, just how grotesquely insane some of this stuff was. Like, you definitely feel it, I think, in some scenes. And even outside of like the body horror and how they filmed that, they also have a couple of different moments where you get to see horror played out through the perspective of another character. And some of that filmmaking is like so surreal that it makes you uncomfortable, and it adds to that slow burn and that tension that you feel all throughout. So just a thing to keep in mind if you are a big fan of like body horror, this isn't peak like David Cronenberg. But I do like that filmmakers, they are picking up the mantle from David Cronenberg, and they're like using this weird subgenre of horror to kind of explore like different facets of life that we all go through in one way or another. Whenever I covered The Substance last year, they used body horror to explore aging in women and how society kind of tosses women to the side once they're no longer deemed attractive. For this film, they use body horror to explore the dynamics of a relationship, and one that's been going on for a long time. Now, while this film, it's very on the nose with what it's trying to say about some relationships that you see amongst your friends, maybe amongst yourself, it explores the questions of what is actual love versus complacency in a relationship. Is the passion that you feel for each other still there, or is it just, you know, mutually beneficial just to stay together and just kind of live this weird kind of loveless but not hateful relationship that's kind of just weird. And the deeper that you go into trying to maintain this codependency, just how much of your soul do you lose? How much of your individuality do you lose to keep this up? Like, with what they explore in this film, it is incredibly interesting. And the ending itself, like, it doesn't go completely where I thought it would, but it's pretty ambiguous, just sort of the fate of these characters and what you're supposed to feel. I do ultimately like that this film, they used body horror to explore a pretty relatable topic for many different people. I myself am in a very happy relationship. Like, I didn't feel any of these things like watching the film, but I can imagine others latching themselves onto Franco Abri's character, so do with that what you will.
Well, there are some things in the film you should pay attention to.
Anyway, and so I didn't really have a whole lot of issues with this film. Like, if you look at it plot-wise, like, this is a plot that you've seen multiple times over various scary movies. You could say that as a critique for any movie within the horror genre. This film, it probably could have had like 10 minutes cut from the runtime. It goes on maybe a little too long there, but like, I thought it was paced pretty well. This could be personally just me. Like, I'm not a big fan of Dave Franco. His acting just never really did it for me. Like, I think he's fine in this film, but there were just some scenes where like, yeah, I don't know, just he wasn't like selling the feeling that I think you should have in this thing. He was sort of playing it as himself, which you have seen in like maybe a Seth Rogen comedy or, you know, something dumb like Now You See Me. But regardless, I think he did well enough in this film to where like it's not a complete write-off of the whole thing. Overall, I think that this is another nice little addition to this weird subgenre. If you do want to check it out, I'd say check it out. I definitely am going to be looking for better half so I can maybe like dive deeper into like this whole like lawsuit thing. But for now, I thought this film was pretty good. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Well, that's all the time we have for today here on Film Stash.
Damn it, Doug. I'm tired of being in the corner.
I'm gonna add this. No, somebody do. Well, that's all the time we have for today here on Film Stash. Our name is Stuggless Chit, and if you excuse us, we gotta add to the stash.